Hello and welcome. I'm Charles Aite. To our first story, a Deputy Minister for Trade says the high import portfolio of Ghana's trading community is partly to blame for the continuous fall of the cedi. Now, the cedi has lost 14.44% in value to the US dollar since January this year, ranking Africa's worst performing currency. Speaking to Joy Business at the site of a public engagement with the women wing of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, Nanama Dokua Esiama J hinted at a government refocus on the need to domesticate trading and import activity in the country.
We all know that the more we import, it will definitely affect our dollar rate. And as they keep importing, it's definitely going to affect the dollar rate because they do not import with the Ghanaian cedi. They sell the Ghanaian cedi off to buy the dollar, and it keeps increasing the strength of the dollar. Now, when we're talking about the shipment, I'll still find a solution with it, with the domestication bit. Because if you are investing in a product that is already made here, you're not going to have problems with any shipping line. And the shipping lines determine their own freight. Since the COVID outbreak, the freight charges kept on escalating to the highest level. It started dropping, but not to where they were initially paying. So initially they were paying about, if they were paying about 5,000, at a point it got to about 15,000, and now it's back to about 9,000. It still has some lots of dropping to get to, but then we'll still come back to the fact, the bottom line of investing in the products that are made here in Ghana. For those that we have the capacity to produce for everybody, full capacity production, we will encourage them to invest in these products. And along the line, for everything they raised issues of credit, access to good credit, access to credits with low interest rates, and we'll see how we can be able to arrange that, especially when it is tied to investing in products that are already made here.
Well, we'll still stay with matters on trade because the Deputy Sector Minister has been updating Joy Business on the protracted Ghana-Nigeria retail feud. Nanama Dokua Esiama J insists that all means are being executed to protect Ghana's retail space.
The foreigners in retail trade, there's already something in place with the Nigerians, but what they have raised with the Chinese and the Indians are also quite critical, and it needs a lot of attention. With what's in place with the Nigerians, there's some special arrangements with those who are already in the system to see if they can be given some sort of a concession or an amnesty to regularize their documentation and then be able to do the business. You know, it's not only about them not doing business where they are not supposed to do, but also it also has issues with the taxation and how they are able to run their businesses here. Beyond them shortchanging Ghanaian businessmen and women, how they run their businesses also sometimes shortchanges us with tax mobilization and generation. So we had this arrangement. It's still, the discussions are ongoing. We've already accepted the documentations of those who are interested in that concession, and we are almost through with it. I'm sure in about a week or two we should be able to conclude on the Nigerian one. But with Chinese traveling all the way to Ghana to come and do retail trade, with Indians coming over here to do retail trade, that is actually affecting our local traders. I think that is unacceptable, because if you are in China and there are certain things that are reserved for Chinese, there's no way anybody else from any other national would be able to have that opportunity to do it. But I don't see the reason why they should aim Ghanaian who is able to front for them with such businesses. So sometimes we see them actively in some shops, but when you get into the documentation and all that, it is a name of a Ghanaian who's that's registered with that kind of business. We'll have to go behind it, and just as I told the traders, there are some that will need a lot more information than they give, so that we'll be able to do it.
The Deputy Trade Minister today giving us updates regarding matters about the trade industry here in Ghana, but we'll still stay on matters regarding trade. This time around, exports, because the Ghana Exim Bank has hinted on its preparedness to achieve the National Export Development Strategy, which is targeted at increasing earnings in non-traditional exports. According to the Deputy Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Exim policy to support the various export companies locally. Here's more in this report.
Speaking at the Ghana Exim Bank Stakeholders Consultative Forum on Export Trade, the bank called on the government to impose export levies on products such as cashew to prevent its exportation in the raw state. This, according to them, will compel local producers to process some of their produce before exporting. Here is the Deputy Chief Executive Officer for the Ghana Exim Bank, Rosemary Burial-Acha.
Authority, the new National Export Development Strategy, which is set to run from 2020 to 2029, is envisaged to increase our earnings in 3 billion by 2029. I want to assure you, the Ghanaian export community, of our preparedness to play a major role towards achieving this target. We are indeed confident that these will stimulate your growth and offer the needed impetus to aid the foray into international markets, enabling you to compete favorably and profitably.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Herbert Krapa called for more energy to be channeled into increasing the country's export, as he says that's the best way of addressing most of the fundamental issues facing the economy.
Activity has stagnated and supply chains have been disrupted. The effect of this on export trade is all known to all of us, at least by now. The need to draw from different stakeholders to tailor the appropriate financial interventions cannot be overstated. If the gains we have made in the export trade sector are to be consolidated and the frontiers of our industrial transformation agenda furthered, then this approach is one to take and taken seriously.
The Exim Bank is also proposing certain interventions by way of diversification of the cocoa sector.
Less than 500 vehicles annually. However, with the current regime, Ghana's assembled vehicles may be more expensive if government does not implement the initial 25% tax increase on all imported vehicles, whilst taking off the value-added tax component. Odilia Ntiamwa spoke with the Chief Executive Officer of Silver Star Auto Limited, Asad Nazir, on this development and several other developments really having an impact on Ghana's automobile industry. Here's more.
About 7 organizations or companies have come together throughout the country currently producing or assembling cars in the country. One of such companies is Silver Star Peugeot, and 2 cars are already out in relation to brands that they are currently producing. I'm here with Asad Nazir to delve deeper into the conversation of assembling in Ghana and also to find out the Mohahani Group's family history and why succession and businesses. My first question is, how has your family been able to maintain different businesses in this country for this long and still becoming better? It started off with Datsun. My father has a Datsun 120Y, and so I can really connect. And then it's grown to different car brands to the current Peugeot together with others. How have you been able to still stay this consistent from 1912?
Right. So to start with, I'm not part of the family, the Kalmoni family, although we are part of the extended family anyway. So I've been associated with the family for over 40 years now. The Kalmoni family has been in Ghana, like you said, almost 112 years. And it's been a very exciting journey. There's a formula, there's a there's a reason for this. So very God-fearing, very hardworking, very humble, unassuming, and this has been passed from generation to generation. And so I think that's what you see. So the family going through the learning ropes.
You are from the extended family. What have you learned so far? You've worked with them for how many years so far?
Yeah, I've been with them for quite a long time. What I've learned is a lot of loyalty and understanding, giving chances, supporting the team, encouraging, listening, and these are all very critical matters, because when you start shutting off everybody around you, then that's the beginning of problems ahead. So they're very giving, and I think it's all part and parcel of the
greater
family,
collective.
the family values. Yeah.
Interesting.
And at the right time, I think we will set up a meeting for you to understand from the family leadership itself.
That would be
Both
interesting.
Nahad and Salem.
That would be very interesting. You started off with importing Datsun into the country, and then are you able to share the journey, the transitions, the learnings, and we currently being at this stage?
Yes. I mean, it's interesting. It's for me personally, 40 years I've seen us go around in a circle. The Kalmoni family, Japan Motors, was assembling Nissan, Datsun in the 60s and 70s. So this is not new, but economic circumstances changed, and governments changed and so on, and the assembly couldn't be viable. However, the current government there's a vision to try and get Ghana on the world map, certainly on the African map, to be one of the countries that is assembling. This is to create jobs and value addition. So this is the vision of the government, and then they put in the policies in place and we follow through as private sector.
Putting this particular car, for example, together and looking at our current customs laws, looking at our current regulations around putting cars together, are there things that government should be looking at critically if we want to continue on this tangent without possibly having to fold up and starting all over again like we did in the 60s?
Certainly. I mean, the environment we live in is very dynamic, and things move at lightning speed. I'm not sure when we started the policy we had ever thought about freight for containers going up 300% to 400%. The petrol prices or oil prices have doubled, and this is bound to have impact. So whatever we thought in the beginning might not be the same today. Even certain tax laws have changed, which unintentionally kind of put a little bit of a problem for us. But the good thing is government is listening, and as an association of auto assemblers in Ghana, we meet the Ministry of Trade, the Minister of Trade regularly, and they're very keen to understand us and try and put out the fires to make sure that this takes off for Ghana.
You'll be launching your assembly plant somewhere later on in Peugeots. Would you be manufacturing?
We'll be assembling.
Assembling, sorry.
We'll assemble as many as you want.
So my question is, like, in a month, how many would you have assembled because of the kind of demand?
Yeah. Well, the demand is, we're still in the trial phase, but our plan is to assemble thousands of them. So thousands and thousands. There's no limit. As far as we can see, we have room to expand as long as the demand is there. And there are certain conditions to fall in. Locally assembled vehicles to be given priority, some tax incentives, some reductions in duties. Once the whole framework is in place and the demand, we start seeing the demand, there's no limit. There's no limit. And as we've seen in other countries like South Africa, like in Morocco, like in Egypt, once the demand picks up, capacity can follow very quickly. There's not supply chains across the world. Getting stock is a problem. But we can overcome that. The biggest thing is the demand, like you said.
Yeah.
So
How has all of this, from freight to issues relating to stock, to parts, to all the things that you need to do this manufacturing, how is that going to feed into pricing, and how is that also going to affect assembling?
Yeah, there's a big pressure, a lot of headwinds, a lot of pressure. We haven't even started. We're just starting. Basically, we're still in the infancy stage, and there's a lot of headwinds we're facing. And as a business, we have to try and do the best we can. There are some things we can control, the other things we simply cannot control. For example, even a bigger impact on freight. So these are things that unfortunately are not in our control, but together with our partners, Peugeot back in Morocco and France, we try our best and to try and manage and try and remain competitive. The only good thing I would say is that it's not specific to our vehicles, but it's vehicles in general. It's the whole industry which is facing the same pressures. So in a sense, it's the whole industry and the consumers who face these issues, whichever brand they go to. Now, whichever company can try and minimize that impact will obviously be the successful one.
Tell us about how currently at 30%. Is this good for business? Is it not? What are you looking at?
I mean, there have been problems with this benchmark value, but I think the government has been taking action. We've heard recently that there's been some agreement with GRA and Ministry of Finance on how to get back to the original values. So it's been a problem. I think we've let, as an association, we've let the authorities know competition is not fair when some people get an advantage and we don't. And it's leveling up the field so that we can all try and succeed.
Peugeot brands out there that you are selling, this is one of them.
This is one. Actually, we have more than two.
Okay.
So
assembled in Ghana?
Assembled in Ghana. We will be assembling two in Ghana. For the time being, this is the first one. This is the 3008 SUV. And the pickup will follow in the second quarter of the year.
What makes this unique?
I think
being assembled in Ghana.
Yeah. Well, it's very fashionable. It's got all the latest features. It's very safe. It also is very economical. So it has a 1.6 engine, but with a very good horsepower, so that they're rising in Ghana. Now you start seeing an impact on people. So this is a vehicle that will offer economy as well as comfort and advanced technology.
You were looking basically at issues relating to cost and how gradually, based on freight and other internal factors in Ghana, and of course external factors, manufactured cars, either from outside or assembled cars from inside, are going to be expensive. One of the key reasons why we wanted to assemble cars in Ghana, how things are currently?
It's going to be difficult, and with government, under the policy, there's some incentives, and there are some other deliverables like increase in duties for non-assembled vehicles. So it's those kind of factors that can turn people and their consumer habits to try and purchase these vehicles. But on its own, if you just said we were to assemble this car versus all the ready-built vehicles coming to the country, I'm sorry, we're not competitive right now.
What will make us competitive? What should we take out almost immediately? Yeah. And especially with hindsight that we already have economic...
The policy, there were certain incentives, the framework is there. Based on that, the companies have invested, some automobile companies have invested, and so it's a matter of now delivering on those variables, those incentives. Once those incentives and framework is implemented on the ground, then you should start seeing the volumes and capacity grow in hand.
Now that you've invested so much, probably over $1 million at the manufacturing plant, which you'll be launching, and putting all of this resources into the business, where would you say government should work on assembling in the country?
Well, we're having some challenges, and I think government is aware. All the assemblers, not only me, but the whole Assembler Association in Ghana is in constant touch, and the ministry is listening to us and are very concerned and are giving us the necessary support. So it's the framework. We were promised A, B, C, D, you do this, we do this. So now it's a matter of delivering on this.
What side of your bargain have you delivered, and what was government supposed to deliver for which you think that it has to be quicker than probably it is currently?
It's to get things rolling off the ground. Getting the assembly plant, the decision alone, the viability studies, all of those were done on certain assumptions and certain promises. So that's what we need to deliver on. So for example, the increase in duty and taxes on non-assembled vehicles in Ghana. It's a question, it's a very sensitive question. I understand. It's a tough question, it's a tough, sensitive issue. And it's up to the government leaders to decide when is the right time. But we've delivered our part of the promise. We're ready. We've started assembling. We've produced about 20 of these vehicles now in Ghana already.
So by close of year, how many cars, Peugeots, would have been delivered?
To assemble over 500 of them in the given circumstances. If the framework is delivered, the right incentives are followed through, this could change to thousands.
And that definitely means that more employment for people.
More employment and viable, and you're going in the right direction. Then you could start talking about added value in years to come.
So this car costs how much?
This car is about $35,000.
$35,000, and it comes with what? What does it come with?
It has everything. We can show you. We can take a tour.
Let's go. Let's go. What do you have in there?
So it's got the latest features like the steering wheel, all the electronics, comfortable seats. The dashboard is amazing. It's got a 1.6, but a very...
And once it's 1.6, I know that it has a certain limitation. So
No. Try it. It has a very good power. So now we're saying don't measure the speed of a car
by the engine size.
By the engine size.
Okay.
It's more about the output, the horsepower. So the same engine, actually in Europe, engines are going down to 1 liter, 1.3, 1.6, BMW, Mercedes. So and emissions. So the race is on. Emissions come down, but at the same time, power goes up. That's amazing. That's what the engineers are busy doing. And this is happening across many of the vehicle brands. How
is Russia and Ukraine affecting the car assembling business?
Well, to start with, we said the fuel is a big impact. And we expect that with fuel, then possibly the CD has also suffered some depreciation. Yeah. So the purchase power of the Ghanaian consumer is at affordability. Yeah, so already we're seeing an impact far away, but nevertheless
there's a trickle-down effect.
There's a trickle-down effect. Every Ghanaian consumer is paying more for fuel right now.
So when the assembling plant is launched, beyond that, then what? Because you're already manufacturing. So.
No, this is assembly.
Assembling, sorry.
So you're right. Then everything going well, then we should be doing manufacturing.
Okay.
So CKD, completely knocked down vehicles, which will involve a lot more value addition. But right now we're starting with baby steps, so getting the basic assembly right, and then when the volumes pick up, because this is all a volumes game.
Yeah, it is a volumes game.
Once the volumes pick up, then we can start looking at manufacturing.
Is that anytime soon?
It could be. I mean, with the right directions. Sometimes you see turbulence, but look, you got to have the vision and you got to follow through. Nothing comes easy.
That's about 3-4 years, or what?
If you could tell the Ghanaian public and they start buying our vehicles, we could even start earlier.
Yeah.
It's
wow.
all about when we reach that level.
Okay.
When do we get to a level where now manufacturing itself is now viable? And we need a lot more units. Ghana is getting there. I mean, the market size is growing, as we know. The population is growing. Economy has been growing.
Has the sighting of the Continental Free Trade Office here in Ghana made any impact?
I mean, in the sense that we hear it a lot more. We've met the teams, and hopefully we have an ear into what's happening a lot more. So.
Do you get demand?
An interaction with the Sad Nazir of Silver Star with Odelia and Tiamo. That's how we end the marketplace. For more news, just log on to myjawline.com. I'm Charles Aite. Many thanks for watching.